Hello friends, we'll be discussing the graphical presentation of the stages of law of variable proportion. Now, the three stages that we discussed in the previous video, will understand how exactly it looks when we are discussing that same thing in terms of a graphical presentation. Now, this will help you in better understanding how exactly the total productivity declines in the stage 3. What happens in the stage 3 when the marginal productivity is going beyond negative and the average productivity is just about to reach the zeroized limit. Let's understand the same thing with a graphical presentation here. Now, the three stages of law of variable proportions are graphically illustrated in this figure. Let us understand this figure. Now, here in total productivity, let us understand that there are two things that you need to understand: total product and the average productivity and the marginal productivity here. Now, total productivity stage 1, stage 2 and stage 3 has been derived. Now, as you see, total productivity will keep on increasing in stage 1. In stage 2, it will increase at a decreasing rate, and in stage 3, it will decline until it reaches one certain point. Now, while the stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 is happening for total productivity, all these three stages will be also happening in a similar or rather in a parallel way for average productivity and marginal productivity here. Average productivity here will mention that thing in green, and the next one, that is the marginal productivity, will mention that. If you can see, average productivity here, this thing, it is first increasing in stage 1, in stage 2 it is about to decrease, and in stage 3 it is just about to reach the zeroized limit. That is what we have discussed. Whereas the marginal productivity here, it increases at a faster rate. In stage 2 it decreases, but it is above negative. However, in stage 3 it goes below negative. So this is the graphical representation of the same thing. Now, when we are talking about these details, the same thing that we have explained earlier in the previous video, this is the graphical representation of it. Now, there are certain things that you need to understand. This is the figure 4.5, this figure that we have just understood or stated right now. It graphically presents the stages of production on account of changes in the variable factor when other factors remain constant. Now, this graphical representation showed you exactly how it looks when, or rather when we discussed about graphical representation is supposed to be done, or when graphical representation shows you how exactly variable factors being changing and the other factors are remaining constant. So when the other factors are remaining constant, how exactly the output is changing based on these variable and constant factors. Make sure this thing is understood with that graphical representation itself. Now, on x-axis, the quantity of the product, or rather quantity of variable factor, is measured, whereas the total product, average product and marginal product are measured on y-axis. So on the x-axis, that means here this x-axis and this is the y-axis. So basically here you measure total productivity, average productivity and marginal productivity. All these three things are measured here. However, here the quantity, this is the quantity is measured on the x-axis. That is what they are saying. Now, top panel of figure 4.5 shows that the total product curves, and bottom panels shows average productivity and marginal product curves. So in that stated graphical representation, the upper half showed the total productivity and the lower half showed the average productivity and the marginal productivity of any kind of product that we are discussing about. Now, the next part shows stage 1. This is the stage 1 that we are discussing about. It continues till firm employs OL1 units of variable factors. The stage 1 speaks about whereby there is an increasing rate of total productivity, and so is the marginal and average productivity. In this stage, that is in stage 1, marginal productivity first increases and reaches its maximum as shown in that figure, and after reaching its maximum it continues to decline in stage 1. Marginal productivity, as you have discussed or as you have seen in that specific thing, let me just draw it here. Now, if this is the marginal productivity that we are declining, this is stage 1, this is stage 2. So this is 1, this is 2 and this is 3. Now in stage 1 the marginal productivity keeps on increasing, then declines. It declines basically in stage 1 itself, it declines. Now, it is important to note that marginal productivity starts declining in this stage and it remains higher than the average productivity. It goes like this. It remains higher, or rather, marginal productivity is higher as compared to average productivity in stage 1. However, average productivity is continuously increasing. Hence, marginal productivity is increasing at a faster rate than it compares to, or rather, when you are comparing it to average productivity here. Whereas average productivity continues to increase in stage 1 and becomes maximum at the end of this stage. When it comes to the next stage, average productivity will keep on declining, however it will not reach its zero. However, in marginal productivity, when we're talking about, it will increase in stage 1, it will also start decreasing in stage 1 itself. In stage 2 it will decrease and reach the zero limit. This is in stage 2, and in stage 3 it will go on, or rather it will go beyond negative here. So this is what we have discussed here. Now, corresponding to varying behavior of marginal productivity, total productivity increases at an increasing rate till the point of inflation, or rather is. So, this diagram, if you can see, it goes on increasing here, and until at the end of the stage it keeps on increasing itself. However, this rate is a decreasing part, and then in stage 3 it goes down. So basically this is what we had to discuss when it comes to stages in the graphical representation. This is all about stage 1. Let us understand, after this point total productivity increases but at a decreasing rate. That means at the end of stage 1 here that we have discussed, this total productivity, it keeps on increasing but at a slower rate. So in stage 2 it will increase. So hence, when you had to discuss about the total productivity here, now if this had gone up like this, now if you see, it is increasing here at an increasing rate, but then it is decreasing, or rather it is increasing, still it is increasing but at a diminishing value. And in stage 3 it goes on. Basically this is how the exactly curve is formed there. So it should be noted that stage 1 ends, that's the point where marginal productivity and average productivity are almost equal, or rather they are just equal. In other words, this stage ends when marginal productivity curve coincides with average productivity curve at its maximum point. So when the marginal productivity curve and the average productivity curve coincides at their maximum point, that's the maximum point at the end of the stage 1. Now when it comes to stage 2, it continues till the firm employs 0 to variable factors. Now in this stage, marginal productivity continues to decline. Marginal productivity is absolutely going to decline because it started declining from the stage 1 itself. In stage 2, it's just further declining there. And at the end of this stage, it reaches the x-axis. That means it goes to zero level. As against, marginal productivity remains lower than the average productivity. Now in stage 2, the marginal productivity of the product goes down. Earlier in stage 1, it was above average productivity. In stage 2, it is below average productivity here. This is what you need to understand. Average productivity also starts falling and continues declining to a positive zone. That means it is above zero here. Corresponding to the behavior, TP continues to increase. Now, as we discussed that in stage 2, the declining rate, or rather the total productivity of the product is increasing, but not at the rate where it was increasing, or rather how it was increasing in stage 1. In stage 2, it is increasing at a declining rate. Slightly declined rate is what we had discussed. So when it reaches its maximum at point D, so when this marginal productivity here in stage 2, three things happen. Total productivity in stage 2 now reaches a point whereby it will keep on declining in stage 3. Marginal productivity is reached, or rather it has reached zeroized limit, and average productivity is still above marginal productivity, which will reach zero, or rather which will reach the zeroized limit in stage 3 here. Now stage 3, it starts, or rather this, or is rather, if we can have to discuss about variable factors here, we need to understand three things here. In this stage, marginal productivity has turned negative. This is one thing that you need to understand. AP still continues to decline, that is average productivity still continues to decline in the positive trend. Corresponding to this, TP starts declining. Now total productivity starts declining in stage 3. Marginal productivity has already declined and it is going below zero now, that is, it is turning into negative, and average productivity of that product is just about to reach zero. So It is noted that if the firm still employs more units of variable factors, marginal productivity will further decline into the negative zone and TP will also continue falling. So here in stage 3, you understand that if you employ more of variable factors, because in stage 1 and stage 2, you have already consumed all your fixed factors. In stage 3, if you still further employ variable factors there, the marginal productivity will still, or rather it will keep going below negative now, and rather below negative as in it will keep going deep into negative. Average productivity will go also below negative, because here it is almost about to reach zero limit and total productivity has already started declining at this point. So this is how stage 1, stage 2 and stage 3 of variable factors and the effects on the output are explained in a graphical representation. This is how exactly you will have to work on all these details, and this is how exactly you need to figure out how all these stages can be explained in a better way using real life examples here. So make sure all these details are studied well and you are able to explain the curves, how exactly these curves are forming and how exactly these curves are supposed to be declined or go beyond negative point. So this is all for the video. Thank you.